my channel, Duckpotatoe's World. My name is Katie, and this is my mother, Mandy. And we are bringing you the March 2024 episode of my video blog, Created to Create. So welcome back. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for joining us. And if you are new, welcome. I'm so glad you found us. I hope you like what we do here. We mostly talk about yarn and knitting, and today we're going to talk a little bit about crochet and those sorts of related things, right?
Yeah,
Nope,
sure.
That was the bathroom.
All right. In this household, besides us, there are 4 teenage boys, a husband, and 3 big dogs. So you might have some noise.
Yeah, there may be some background noise. I tried really hard to minimize it. It doesn't always work. But that's okay. This is us, and this is how we live.
That's
So.
right.
One of my sons is tiptoeing through the living room going like this.
As the sign says behind me, welcome to our loud, fun, crazy home. But I don't live here, so.
That's okay. It is loud and crazy. All right. First things we want to talk about are what we are wearing. And even though it's 81 degrees in East Texas today, we are both sporting our batads. Or I still haven't figured out how you actually say that word. Someday I may actually go watch a Stephen West video and see how he says it.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
That would probably be smart. I've been calling it a batad for so long though that at this point I probably won't call it anything else.
It sounds reasonable to me.
But yeah, so it's the same pattern and it's mostly the same yarn. There's a couple of minor differences.
I didn't put a sun in mine. I just started with Mercury.
And I wanted to start a solar system with the solar part of it, which was the sun. So I actually added this section here, which is the Hot Springs Fiber Company Seriously Sock Unicorn Tails. They're just like little 20-gram minis. Mm-hmm. And the Hot Springs Fiber Company owner dyed this up custom for me. And then the rest of this, the colored welts, are from the same 50-gram solar system kit that you got from Destination Yarns,
right,
on the postcard base. And so we had enough to do Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and I did a Pluto on my bottom. And both of us, I didn't run out of any of that. So you did yours first. Mm-hmm. So we had enough to do 2.
And I must feel like I am the sun and that everything revolves around me because I just started with Mercury.
And then, well, the kit did not come with a sun. It only came with the planets.
It did, and it came with the galaxy.
Yeah. So this is the silver shiny base, and it's Noir. I've been calling
Noir.
it. Okay, Noir.
It's like wine, Pinot Noir.
So you were able to use one skein of that, right?
Mm-hmm. And
she had an extra skein, so she gave me her leftover planets and her extra skein of the silver shiny, which I held double with Lano Gatto Luxe mohair in the black black mohair, and that mohair actually has a lot of shiny sparkle of some sort in it. So
beautiful mohair.
I did, but I think when I added in the mohair, it made that thicker because I used more than one skein of the silver shiny base. I actually had to stop and wait and order another hank so I could finish like the last 8 rows or something like that.
So you didn't have to use much?
No, I needed like 10 grams. I ordered a 100-gram hank of yarn so I could knit.
But now you can do something else.
Yeah, I have it. I'm sure I'll use it later. But
yeah,
so we wanted to wear ours today because we're Twinkies.
It was a fun knit.
And then, so this is also a finished object for me because when I showed you guys in February, I was still finishing this. I did an I-cord bind off. Was yours an I-cord bind off too?
Mm-hmm, I think so.
I think yours was like a 3-stitch and I did like a 5-stitch because when I did the 3-stitch,
because you did the color.
My welt was too small and it didn't match the other welts. So I did a little bit of a bigger one.
Right, because this is just a small. I just finished it with the black. So,
but I mean, I didn't have enough. I was like, I think I was like here and I was out of the black. Like I still had a lot to go. So yeah, so that is a finished object for me. And then I know you have this, which I showed a picture I think last month because she finished it sooner.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things about this whole kit was when I was reading the from Destination Yarns, I was reading their website about it. The colors of the different planets are actually based off photographs taken of the actual planets
by the Hubble telescope.
Yeah, by the
or
Hubble.
something.
Mm-hmm. And so that's how they came up with the different colors for the different planets.
we did not base the sun off of any NASA photos. We based it off of my opinion of what color the sun ought to be. Not scientific up here. Yeah, that's fun. And then you have 2 more things to show that you have with you that you finished, right? That you were going to.
That I finished, yes. So as most of you know, Katie did her first pattern design called "If You're Happy and You Know It," and I did a test knit for her. So this is my test knit "If You're Happy and You Know It" hat, and I did it in red and black because at my house we are Texas Tech people and we root for the scarlet and the black. And I did do a tassel, and I did this according to the tutorial that you did on making tassels.
So it was successful.
Yeah, because I usually don't like to do tassels, but this one turned out really nice, except I've got a stray oops. Oh well, anyway. And this is knit out of just DK yarn from Knit Picks. It's Knit Picks Swish DK yarn, and I just bought the beads at, I don't know, Hobby Lobby or, no, I think I bought it at Michael's or Joann's, someplace like that. And then I had yarn left over, and I decided to do a pair of fingerless mitts.
I'm impressed you had yarn left over with the DK weight, because my sport weight I used but you did she did her. My band was not in a different color.
I did.
How did you have anything left over?
I did a different band. So and these are the
Delightful Diamond mitts.
Yes.
We bought these kits when we were at DFW Fiber Festival with this pattern in them, and then we got home and knit the pattern with different yarn that we. What did you do with the yarn that came in
I used my yarn.
Did you? You made Delightful Diamond mitts out of it?
I did. I used my yarn. It was a gray with the red beads.
Yes.
So I used mine. So
I did not. I gave mine away to a friend.
Now, if you go to Katie's Ravelry page or look at the pattern page for this, it is my husband wearing the hat because
it was funny.
It was funny. I started to put it on for him to take a picture of me to send Katie, and he's like, "Well, I want to wear it." So we put it on him, and he agreed to let us publish the picture. So,
yep. So Ray Pops is modeling the hat for us.
Okay.
And then we're actually filming this about a week sooner than I usually do because my mom was in town and I wanted her to be on the video. So even though you are not going to see this until March 1st, right now is actually February 25th.
Right.
But even though it's a week sooner, I have a lot of things I've finished. So partly because this was almost done. I was just waiting to do the last few rows. And then I also finished my Warm Heart cowl.
That is so gorgeous.
By Hannah Miller. I am so happy with how this turned out. It was not that hard to make, but it was color work, which I'm not very comfortable with, but this has helped. I feel much more confident in my color work abilities now. And yeah, so my husband actually bought this. It was a kit from Mountain Meadow Wool Fiber Company, Mountain Meadow Wool. I'm not sure what the actual name of it. I think the business is just Mountain Meadow Wool. And this is their Mountain Meadow Wool, and the base was Cody, and it came in berry, rose, and natural. And he bought this for me 2 years ago as a Valentine's present. Like, it was a Facebook ad, and we were like, well, we'll roll the dice and see how
I was
this
just going to say, because ever since you've posted that, all of a sudden I'm getting all these Facebook pages for Mountain Meadow.
Yes, it was a Facebook ad, and I really liked it. So we ordered it on February 9th, and it came pretty quick. I think it came within a week. But still, by then, it was not, Valentine's Day is the 14th. Like, I didn't have time to knit it for Valentine's Day the year that it arrived. So I kind of set it aside, and then I knit it for Valentine's Day this year. And I wore it on Valentine's Day, even though it was another hot day. Everyone was like, you're all red, Katie. I'm like, yes, I know, but it's Valentine's Day, and I'm wearing my cowl.
There's some things you just do because you can't depend on waiting for weather.
I always run into knitters who say, I don't ever knit shawls because I don't wear them. And I'm like, well, I never wore a shawl until I started knitting them. And then I wore them because I made them. So,
well, the Hey Y'all We Knit in Texas cowl that we did last year.
Yeah.
My husband and I went to Nashville a few weeks ago to celebrate an anniversary. And while we were there, we were at Luke Bryan's Honky Tonk. And we met up, we had kind of a good sized table, and another couple of people came in, 2 more couples, and they needed a place to sit. We had room, we offered to let them sit with us. Come to find out, they too were celebrating anniversaries.
Oh, really?
And one of them was a nurse. I'm a nurse.
Oh, how funny.
So anyway, we just got to talking, and she loved my cowl. And she sent me her, she shared her phone number with me so I could make her one.
Did you say you were going to make her one?
So I told her I would make her one.
Are they from Texas?
I said, do you want it in these 3 colors, or do you want it in, because, well, it says in binary code, hey, y'all, we knit in Texas.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that, you don't know that. But she's like, no, I want it just like that from Texas. Because her son is in the military, and he's stationed at Fort Knox there in Killeen.
We got that kit from DFW Fiber Festival year before last.
Yeah, so I'm not going to actually try to find the same fiber.
Yeah, because that was like dyed just for that specific festival.
But you know, I can get some higher quality worsted weight yarn. And
I don't know if this is worsted weight off the top of my head or not, but this yarn would be really, they had a million colors, and it was really pleasant to work with. And it's 100% wool.
But I started that story to say, even in Nashville a couple of weeks, whenever we were there, it was not that cold. But I'm still wearing. Hey y'all, we knit in Texas cowl.
I'm showing off my floats here. I'm very proud of those. They're pretty darn good.
They are. Yeah, you did great. It's not tight or anything.
Mm-mm. Oh, and I blocked it this direction because I watched Natalie's Love and Stitches YouTube channel, and she had done a doodle cowl. And she said that if you block your color work wrong side out, it makes it more even.
Oh,
so I did that.
Good tip.
So you could try that if you want, if you're knitting color work.
Because I too have not really done a lot of color work, and so
and I actually followed the pattern, y'all. I did make 0 modifications. I'm not good at following instructions sometimes, but this time I did. And then I did get to go to Hot Springs, Arkansas when Natalie and Kent and Toaster were in the shop. So that was a lot of fun. And one of the things I did while I was there was they had the inaugural meeting of their sock society, which is just, I think, going to be a monthly club that just meets and everybody knits on socks. Like it's not a class or a subscription. It's just a get together. And the idea behind it is that since everyone's knitting socks together, then you can help each other out. If you have a question about sock knitting, someone there will probably know how to help you. Well, I went to the first meeting, and I brought my Dean & Bean sock machine, Socka Latte. I've started calling her Lottie for short. Just so you know. So I brought Lottie, and I had this tube of, well, it was a cone, actually, of watercolor sock yarn. Let me think about it.
Those are big socks.
Yes. So it's Collinette Jitterbug. It is the name of the, oh no, I'm thinking of something else. Sorry. Let me find the right one. Lane's de Nord watercolor sock. That's what this yarn is. And the colorway was just 105 reds and purples. And so this stuff was on, it came on a cone, which I loved because then I didn't have to cone it to work on my sock machine. I think the newer version of the yarn, it's coming in like little round ball looking things.
Okay.
Which kind of stinks. But the fun thing about this yarn is you're supposed to be able to get 2 identical socks if you begin at the beginning and stop. So there's like a little bit of a white section at the beginning and then a white section in the middle. Oh. If you begin at the beginning and knit the sock and then stop at the white section and then begin the second sock there, it's supposed to match perfectly. And you got it. Look at that. It did.
That is awesome, yeah.
So these are my husband's socks. That's one of the reasons they're so big. And he doesn't normally like really tall socks. So I just started it on my sock machine. And I knit the toe, I knit the foot, I turned the heel, and I just knit until I got to the white because I wanted to see how the color played out.
Right.
And then I didn't put any kind of cuff on them while we were in Hot Springs. I got them home and I showed it to him and he tried them on and we figured out where to roll the cuff over. So this is, let me pull it off my sock blocker here. This is a fold over cuff. I usually hand knit his cuffs. But what I did was I just measured where on his leg the cuff needed to end and I did a 3-needle bind off. I kind of picked up all the stitches.
Did you see Nitty Natty's tutorial on doing that on socks?
No, there was a tutorial.
Yes.
I sat there and figured it out.
No, yeah.
I didn't even look for a tutorial.
Where she used how you keep live stitches on here and then using your the bars on your cast.
That's what I did.
You did it on your own then. But
so I had my live needles on, my live stitches on a needle where the sock ended, and I just folded it over and picked up the purl bumps and did basically a 3-needle bind off.
See, she doesn't pick up the purl bumps though. She picks up the dashes.
Well, it was the purl side of the stockinette. I don't really know what the bump was because to me on that side it's all just bumps.
So she's going on your cast on here. And she's picking up the bars here.
Oh, well, see, that wouldn't have helped me anyways because I didn't have a cast on. I had live stitches. That's
right.
So I took the live stitch and bound it off to just a pearl bump on the wrong side.
So she's got a tutorial on that.
That's good to know. Yeah. If you want to know how to do that by hand. I've done it often enough on the sock machine where you're using a crochet hook and working around Lottie's cylinder. These are my Dean and Bean sock blockers. Y'all don't see them very often because I usually just have them with socks on them that are not new. There's they stay in my laundry room, and I'm always putting on socks on them to dry. I really like them. They are supposed to be adjustable. Like the foot is easily adjustable. You take the safety pin off and you can make the foot longer or shorter as you need. The legs are supposed to be adjustable where you can like pop these off, but I've had these for a while, and anytime I've tried to pop something off, the little plastic buttons break.
Okay.
So I've pretty much just glued them down, and I don't move the leg anymore. It's just the height that is. But they hang in my laundry room, and they almost always have a sock on them. Well, except now I've gone and broke it. Okay, well, we're not going to put this back on. I don't usually have trouble putting it on, but I'm also usually standing up when I do it. And we'll get my husband to JB weld that back together. It's not broken. It's just like I was saying, those little plastic like clip tabs, they bust off and then the pieces don't stay together anymore. All right, I also knit while I was at the sock club. I knit a pair of socks for one of the other women who was at the club. Kathleen Fuller is a friend of mine. You guys have heard me talk about her books before because she's also an author of sweet romances, and I've given away some of her books as well. But she was there, and so I was doing a demonstration with a sock, and I had finished these socks, and I was going to just start another pair of socks, and so I had some spare yarn, and I said, hey, Kathleen, you want some socks? And she was like, yeah. So I knit her a pair of socks while I was there, too. So I knit 2 pairs of socks in 2 days on Lottie. Love Lottie. She's my favorite. That yarn was the one that was the Collinette Jitterbug 400, and the colorway was Castagna, Castagna. Is that how you say that? Like, it's not
Castaigne, like champagne. You know.
No, maybe it's Castaigne. I don't know. Castagna. I don't know what that word is.
Obviously,
the sock yarn, the ball band was not in English. I have nothing against foreign languages. I think it's amazing when people can speak more than one language. I love to listen to people rattle off in other languages, even though I don't understand what they're saying. But I'm really lazy about learning to pronounce things that aren't in Spanish.
Do you have it written down?
Yeah, Castagna. If you know how to say it.
Castagnon?
Write it phonetically in the comments below.
Because neither one of us are doing a good job.
Yeah, no, we're not. But it was great yarn. It made lovely socks. And I'll have to put a picture in of the sock because Kathy already has the socks. I don't have them to show you. But I only had like a little bit of random yarn because it was, somebody gave me a leftover. Like it was just scrap yarn I was kind of playing with. So I used some active waste yarn that I had to do the toes and heels and cuffs on it to make it go farther. But
yeah.
That was one I made that same weekend. That was 2 weeks ago.
I didn't realize that she was there as well.
Kathleen Fuller?
Yeah, she because those are those books on Audible, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bought all 4 of her Maple Falls books on Audible. So
I read that series, or I listened to that series. They're really nice because they're just nice. All right, some of you guys probably like spice, but the nurses I work with call them spicy.
No, these are not
novels.
Spicy. They're sweet.
They're not spicy. They're sweet, and they're nothing to be embarrassed about if you're listening to them out loud.
Yeah, your kids can be in the car and it'll be okay. They might roll their eyes and go, "Mom, there's too much kissing," but you're not gonna have to explain any birds and bees.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like them a lot.
I do too.
In fact, I kind of gone on a binge. I've read everything in her Birch Creek series now. I've read except for one story that I couldn't find, and I finally had to email her and be like, where is this love story? Like, you obviously set it up in the other books, like, because she'll have like main novels, and then there'll be like novellas that she writes that are in groups with other authors. So like there'll be like a book of 4 novellas, and there'll be like shorter versions of love stories, but there'll be characters that came from her main novels. So when I had read through all the Birch Creek main novels, I was like, okay, this love story was set up to happen, but it never happened. It was Ira and Nina. So it's the only one I haven't read yet. So I'm still waiting to get my hands on it. My library doesn't have that book. And I did buy all of her Birch Creek books on the Kindle.
Oh, okay.
All of the main novels, but I really didn't want to buy, the 17 novellas that go.
Right.
If I have to, I will. But that's the only one I haven't read yet. But anyway, I don't remember why we're talking about Kathy.
Because you made socks for
I
her.
make socks for her. That's
And
right.
I didn't know that she was there. That was the weekend Nitty Natty was there,
Yes,
right?
I mean, it wouldn't matter. You were in Nashville.
I know, right. I mean, I couldn't have gone anyway, but
she was there. I think that was the first time I got to meet her in person. We've been emailing back and forth for months, so it was kind of funny because I felt like I knew her, except I'd never actually seen her. But we got along great. It was super. I came back from that weekend when Natalie was there with a whole bunch of yarn that was just things that the shop doesn't sell anymore or stuff like that just needed to be rehomed. It wasn't really for sale. So I have so many acquisitions that I could never possibly go over them all. So we won't go over all of that. But I did take some that was also donated to our library. Tracy donated a bunch of yarn to the library, our yarn club here in Lindale. So I brought a whole bunch of yarn to them. And some of the yarn was really tangled in a knot. And so I made a deal with my friend, Riley, that if she would untangle the yarn that was tangled, I would knit her a Tahoe hooded cowl to give her mother for her birthday.
Oh,
so I have knit another Tahoe hooded cowl, which I also don't have with me to show you, but I'll put a picture in of it. That one was for my friend Riley's mom. And Riley has untangled most of the yarn. I finished the cowl faster than she untangled the yarn. It was a pretty bad knot. I'm not sure if she thinks she got the good end of that deal or not. And then let's see. Oh, and I have knit 2 pair of the Carolig mitts by Yosolda Teague. I knit this pair for me. That is in the Fiber Company, the Fiber Co. Canopy Worsted in the color Sumac. So I knit this one, and I did these a little different. I did a 3-stitch I-cord bind off on the thumb for these to see if it matches the I-cord edging of the hand, and I really like it. The only thing I wish is I did it on size 6 needles, and it's kind of small. I should have gone up to 7s.
Oh,
so I keep knitting this pattern, this Carolig pattern. It's actually written for fingering weight yarn. So I've been knitting it on worsted weight and using either 6, 7, or 8s, depending on how thick the yarn was and who the mitten was for, and knitting the toddler size, which is only a 40-stitch cuff, and getting an adult size mitt that way, which is a lot faster than doing a fingering weight one. Yeah. So I finished both of those. Each mitten takes me about a day. I'm calling this finished, even though you can still see a double point there. I just have to do the seamless weave in of the last 3 I-cord stitches. I found the best tutorial on knitting an I-cord bind off in the round with a seamless graft. And I can't remember the YouTuber that did it. I'll put her name on the screen, and I'm going to link her video down below, because if you ever want to try it, it is a really excellent... Oh, you want to talk about my new needles?
Well, finish your point here.
A really excellent tutorial on how to do that. And so I have a very unique DPN. I bought these the same weekend I think I was there for Nitty Natty. These are Prim double pointed needles, and they are round on the end like normal needles, but they're triangular in the middle so that when you hold them in your hand, it feels nicer. And then they have this little bulb on the tip, and it's supposed to be easier to get your stitches and help them stay on your DPN, and so far I love them. In fact, I bought 2 sizes. I have a 6 and I have a 7. When I was there this last weekend, I just got back literally at 1 o'clock this morning from Hot Springs. I don't normally go twice in the same month, but I did this time. I wanted to buy size 5s, and Prim apparently doesn't make them. So they don't make every single needle size, but they have 6s and 7s and then a few others. But the only thing I'm not loving is they have this little scratchy spot. I think it's where maybe they pour the plastic into the mold to make the needle. And so I did have to take like a emery board and kind of file that down because it was snagging my yarn. But I've been using them to make these mittens. I've got them on my cats. I really like these. So I'm going to stick this back on here. So I know it's not technically finished because I have to graft that, but I'm calling it finished. So I knit these for me because I had made a shop sample, and I made a pair for James, and I wanted a pair. So those are mine. See where I can put them.
I knit some fingerless gloves for David for Christmas. I found a beanie called Dave's hat or Dave's beanie or something like
Yeah.
that. It's on Ravelry. So David's my son, her brother. So I knit him that beanie, and I knit him some fingerless gloves. And Ray wants some now too. So
Yeah, everybody wants it.
I didn't know if he would wear them because guys and all that stuff. But well,
James wear them.
yeah.
And then the reason I just got back from Hot Springs Fiber Company at 1 o'clock this morning is because I was there teaching a class on these mitts. So this is the pair of mitts that I made during the class. So I actually got the right mitten done during the class, and I got the left mitten done on the 4-hour drive home last night. So we're driving home and I'm like desperately trying to knit the second mitten, and you can see it is completely done. It's bound off, but I haven't woven the ends. But I will do that soon. And the reason I was in a hurry to get them done is because they are for you to say thank you for coming and watching the boys while we spent the weekend in Hot Springs.
Welcome. But
So.
yeah, these are awesome. I love them.
Put them on. Make sure. I'm sure they'll fit you, but put them on anyways because I want to see them on you. Yep, they do good.
Yes, they do good.
You can't have my stitch marker. I'm gonna want that part back.
And of course, she knows I like things in blue and denim. And
Yeah, I knew she was all about the.
I have a lot of stuff that's kind of neutral too. So yeah, these are awesome. Love them.
Good, good, good. There you go.
Thank you so much.
And let's see, did I finish anything else in the last 3 weeks since I blogged, podcasted, whatever you want to call it. I usually call it a podcast, even though I know that's just audio. But, I mean, you're listening to me talk about stuff. That's a podcast, right?
That's right. And now I have a boxer in my lap.
Yeah, the dogs are needy.
Stony.
You can't see him. I don't think he's in the shot. But he's a pretty brindle boxer. He's our rescue pup. Aren't you? We didn't actually rescue him. My sister originally rescued him. And then when she needed to move and didn't have room for as many doggies as she had, we just went home to stay with us. His name is Stony Baloney.
I don't know about the baloney.
That's
part,
actually
but-
his name.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, we don't have birth certificates for dogs, but when she took him to the vet and they asked his name, that's what she told them, and that's what it says on his lost and found, like his chip. So Stony Baloney. He just had a birthday too, Thursday. I don't know how old he turned.
I actually thought he originated because when she was working as a vet tech at one of the Lubbock vets,
somebody
brought him in to have him put down.
Yeah, she yes, that's exactly right. Him and I think his sister were brought in to not be they weren't wanted anymore.
And so that is an occupational hazard as a veterinarian technician. You end up with lots of unwanted pets.
Well, he's wanted now.
Yes, he's been wanted ever since. He's a good dog.
He's a good dog. Not very smart. I don't know. He's a couple of French fries short of a Happy Meal.
We think the breeding tree didn't have many
Very many
branches.
branches, yeah. But he's sweet. And he's my oldest son's pet, mainly. Okay, whips. You want to talk about what you're working on so diligently over there?
So I'm just making a pair of socks. I started these out. I started them out on 2 circular needles. So I was doing 2 at a time, but one of my needle cables broke while I was here, but I had double points with me. So this is just it's Patton's sock yarn, actually, that I bought at Joann's. They were having a buy one, get one free sale. The color's cream. And I'm using Hermione's Everyday Socks pattern. It's
By Erica Luder.
You can find it on Ravelry, and I think it's a free Ravelry
so.
pattern. I really like the weave that it puts in the leg. It just gives it just enough texture. And these are actually going to be boot socks for a friend of mine who wanted me to knit her a pair of boot socks, which probably aren't going to have much reason to wear boot socks the rest of this season in Texas, but she'll have them for next season. And this is special to me because I have done my first Fish Lips Kiss heel. Did I say it right?
Good job. So
I've never done that heel before.
I keep telling her it's the best heel.
And my friend who I'm doing this for is small. She's tiny, and she has tiny ankles and tiny feet. And another knitter I met by random, just met her actually, who was knitting socks, and we started talking, told me that this kind of a heel stays put on people with skinny heels and feet. So I thought I'm going to try that, and I really like it. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. It didn't take much time at all.
I like it when you're doing self-striping yarn.
So it may become one of my favorite heels now.
Because it doesn't break the stripe across the inside.
Not at all. It was just, like I said, it's I can see where it'd be tight and snug on the heel. So that's what I'm working on right now. when I made my fingerless mitts, like these here, I wore them to church one Sunday, and I go to a small church we're a plant, and we don't have our own facilities, and so we meet at a wedding venue in Georgetown or Leander, Texas. I can't remember which city.
Where it technically is.
It's in that Georgetown, Leander, Liberty Hill triangle where you could be in either one of those three cities given what side of the street you're standing on. But and so sometimes it's chilly in the venue where we meet, depending on what the weather is outside.
It's pretty breezy. I mean, it has like big windows that can be all opened up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Some of our members
indoor-outdoor space.
Yes, and it's owned by some of our members, and so it's a very convenient. It's a beautiful place.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Just a gorgeous place. But because you never know what the inside temperature is going to be, and our worship leader is Jana Morris, and she plays guitar and leads us in our music on Sunday mornings. And she loved my fingerless mitts, and that Sunday morning because her hands were cold. So I'm knitting her a pair, and this is I bought it at Michael's. I think it's either Merino Luxe. I can't remember if it's Premier or Merino Luxe, but it's a DK weight with a mohair chained in. And I just picked up some beads that I thought coordinated with it, and it is really making a nice pair of fingerless gloves.
These are thick though, I think.
Yeah.
It said it was a DK weight, but I'm wondering if it's knitting up more like a worsted weight
because of the mohair, I think. But I was still able, I mean, this is the second one I've started, and I was still able
You're going to have enough yarn to make her like a matching hat.
I know, I was thinking of that.
Make her a happy and you know it hat.
But, and it was easy. I was still able to string the beads on there without too much difficulty. And so anyway, that's just something that I was doing that I will give her, because then she can wear these while she plays guitar. Because it doesn't...
We've gotten lots of use out of our bead biz kits.
Yes, we have. I'm thinking I might need to find another pattern with the beads, but I like the diamond shape on these. And
I will have to put the name of the pattern up here, but one of the women at Hot Springs, Deb, she showed me a pattern for a pair of beaded mitts that has a snowflake on it and a matching hat on Ravelry. It wasn't free, but it would be well worth the money. It was really beautiful. So I'm going to put the name of that pattern and a picture of it up here so you can see it, but you might be interested in that. I'm going to buy that one later.
But yeah, this is...
Bead Biz has several different beaded versions. The only downside to Bead Biz is you have to buy the kit. So if you don't want to use their yarn, you're buying it anyway so you can get the pattern. But once you've bought the kit, you have the pattern. You can knit whatever you want.
Yeah, I've made several, and Charlene wanted a pair, and so I didn't bring them with me, but I have her a pair made out of pink.
Pink ones?
Pink ones with the pearly beads on.
And then don't you have another pair with you?
No, just the red ones.
So the one that don't have the bind off.
Oh, the ones that when I was here, my mom has been sick and in and out of the hospital frequently. And one time when I was here, I didn't bring knitting with me because I just left. And so Katie loaned me some needles and some yarn, and I started making another pair. I was like this just to have something to do.
So this is Hot Springs Fiber Company DK weight yarn.
Yes, it is.
It was a blue from one of the Blanket of Knowledges from 2022.
And then Katie just had these beads in her stash, and so I just need to bind off this and sew it up, and then this pair will be done. But I didn't have the finished.
Who's this one for?
I don't know. It was just a project I was doing because I needed something to do. Maybe I will. Yeah.
She would probably like that.
She probably would. I think I will. Because they're really nice. I like them. I didn't realize how much I would like fingerless gloves, but I actually like them a lot.
I like the fact that I can knit a fingerless mitt on worsted weight yarn in a day.
Yeah,
I'm so tired of projects that take me 5 months.
They're definitely quick knits.
I love my Enchanted Forest shawl. Don't get me wrong. That's what's behind me that I'm showing off shamelessly because I love it. It's been being the shop sample at Hot Springs for the last couple of weeks, so I brought it home because I think I'm going to wear it for Easter. Even if it's not cold enough to wear for Easter.
All right, so Easter's March 31st. And
it could be anything.
Notoriously, in Texas, you have the worst spring storm ever on Easter weekend.
Yes.
So, because, that's when we buy all our little frilly dresses for
and
our
white
kids,
shoes.
And we are all springy, and then it's, 45 degrees outside with 50-mile-an-hour gusts of wind.
Yeah. So, many times I have been wearing a cute knee-length Easter dress that's all lace and ribbons and then putting a giant black coat on over it because it's cold.
So who knows? It could be anything.
So I want my shawl for Easter in case I need it. I might need it. Let's see. So I have finished quite a bit, but I've been working on quite a bit. The first thing I want to show, I am making the Soho Mama Cat and her baby kittens. I have a little girl in my church who's in my choir. So I have they're kindergarten and preschool age kids in a children's choir. Our church uses a program called Kids Corps to introduce the children in our church to the music that we sing as a congregation. So a lot of children's choirs will sing things like Jesus Loves Me and I don't know. I can't think of just music that's very specific to children. We try very hard to sing music, teach them music that we are going to sing in big church, so that as they grow up through church, they're not having to relearn music or sing stuff they've never heard of before.
And they can participate.
And it helps them to know the meaning of the songs. We don't just teach them to sing the music, we teach them what the message is. So like we did Crown Him with Many Crowns not too long ago. That was one we sang. Is that one we sang this morning?
No, All Hail the Power of Jesus.
All Hail the Power of Jesus name. We've done that one in
And
Kids
that little
Corps.
girl standing behind me knew every single word, and she sang it
Probably
with her whole
because
heart.
she's in Kids Corps.
And it was lovely. It brought tears in my eyes.
So we do a lot of songs. We do Getty songs. Sometimes we'll do scripture memory verse songs in Kids Corps. There's all kinds of things. It's a program that our church has actually developed over the years. I've been leading a children's choir in our church since I joined 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is and it's evolved in that time from just kind of a program that our church was sort of winging for ourselves into an actual physical program. Like we sell the songs as sets. They come with the music, the words, the lessons, the devotions that explain the songs, the activity sheets and music theory games and everything. So it's a really cool program. But I've had the little choir for most of that 11 years. I hopped around a little bit in the beginning, but I think I'm pretty settled in. I haven't been moved in a few years. But one of my little girls is 4 and she is turning 5 in March, and she has invited me to her birthday party.
Oh my.
And I am so excited. My husband is like, "Why are you so excited about this 5-year-old's birthday party?" I was like, "I have 4 sons." Boys. I get to go to a little girl's birthday party. So I am making her a mama cat. This pattern I have modified. For one thing, I did the 3-needle bind off on the mama's cat's head on the underside, so you don't see it. The pattern just has you binding off right across the top of her head. I didn't like that. And I added a tail because to me, it's just not a cat if they don't have a tail.
That's right. Cats
So I
have
just
tails.
picked up 5 stitches and did an I-cord tail. That's the only thing I modified though. And then she's going to have 3 little babies, but this is her first little baby that I've got done, and I added the tail. And I modified this too because they had you beginning at the bottom and knitting in the round all the way to the top, doing a 3-needle bind off across the top of the head again, stuffing the cat, and then sewing it closed. And I was like, I don't want a 3-needle bind off across the top of the head. And so I did Judy's Magic Cast On like you do for toe-up socks, and started at the head and went this direction, and then I did the 3-needle bind off at the feet, and I stuffed it, and I picked up a 3-stitch I-cord tail. I still have to put her little ribbon on, and I have to put faces on them. But yeah, I'm a little over halfway done. I've got another kitten started, and most of this yarn is just leftover. So he's actually probably done. I probably just need to do his I-cord tail and stuff him and stuff.
It's cute.
So he's coming along. This green yarn was left over from Asher's beadless gnome hat. This pink yarn this right here is left over from my heart's cowl. This yarn that is her face and his face here, this yarn was left over from a linen stitch cowl that I knit a long time ago. I bought that yarn from Quincy Co. yarn from McKinney Knittery. I've got a little bit of leftover of that. So I'll make a 3rd kitten probably out of this color because I have more of it. Mama cat, her body is mostly, I think I held 2 strands of that Quincy Co., both of the colors that are in the baby cat's faces. I held 2 of those, which were fingering weight, together with a chainette yarn that was left over from a cowl, a cable cowl that I knit a while back. I don't ever throw away my leftovers because I always find little ways to use them. In fact, Mama's head is stuffed with the ends of things that I've cut off.
Is this got any like mohair, or what makes it fuzzy?
Oh, this yarn is I wrote down what this yarn was. I think Rosetta Yarns Alaska. And it's fuzzy, and I held it double. It was a DK weight yarn, but because I knew I would be stuffing her head with random bits of colored yarn that I didn't want like blue and pink yarn sticking out of her head, so I held it double just to make it a little snugger.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was Rossetti, Alaska. I think this Merino Mist is also Rossetti. I think as it just happened that the leftovers I had. This I actually got a whole ball of. This was one of the balls of yarn that Tracy sent. That she let me have.
Now, do you just embroider their faces on, or
I'll just stitch probably in that Quincy Co. leftover yarn. I'll stitch a little face on her, some eyes and a nose and a mouth, and yeah. So she'll get 3 kittens total by the time I'm done. And I have a whole bag of yarn now that I call it my kitten yarn because I have to make a set. I've made 3 of these sets already for my nieces. So I made one for Gail and Audrey and Haley. And I have another niece now. I have Salem.
Oh, I thought you made Salem one already.
I didn't.
Not.
I made Salem
okay.
the Mr. and Mrs. Sparkle Pants.
That
was
what,
the Nubbleton pattern.
Yeah. Okay.
But I haven't made her kittens. So I've got lots of options. I'll probably finish this and just start more kittens for Salem. She'll be 2, right?
2 in August.
In August. So that's probably... I don't know. I may wait till she's 3 because it does have buttons and things that can be pulled off. But I'll probably be knitting her some soon in the next year or so.
Okay.
So that's my cats. And then I have been working on my crochet skills. So you all saw my tiny little crocheted ball caps that I made over the summer, I think. And then I got back and I have a really hard time getting started. Like once I get going, I seem to be okay, but I got frustrated with it and kind of didn't do it for a while. And so when I was back there with Natalie, I was working on the Mama Cat, and she has a crocheted button band. So I sat down with Tracy, and I was all right. The other 3 cats that I did previously, I read the instructions on how it said to crochet the button band. I took a crochet hook in my hand, and I did something. I had no idea what. I just did something till it looked like a button band. I think what I did was just do slip stitch crochets back and forth.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what a double crochet was or a single crochet, or I just needed something I could stick a button on, and I just sort of fudged it. I said, I want to be able to, if I pick up a pattern and it has, crochet this, I want to be able to do what it says. Right. I don't want to just be playing and fudging it. So she sat down with me and got me going and helped me crochet my button band, which is crocheted correctly. It's a little bit loose. I probably should have gone down a needle size, but we were having a hard time. My gauge is kind of not even, so.
Oh, that's okay, though.
It's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
But anyway, so after I did that, I came home all gung-ho because I've been wanting to do the granny stripe blanket out of some scraps that Natalie does on her channel. I know I'm talking a lot about Love and Stitches, but it's one of my favorite YouTube channels. And so I thought, well, now I can do it. I must have tried for a week to cast on that thing. I think I redid it 17 times.
It's crochet.
Yeah, I know it's not called cast on, right? It's called chain.
Chain.
I can chain. The chain's not the issue. It's just that the chain is so tight. I couldn't go back through and do my first row of
when that happens, sometimes maybe you need to do your chain with a larger needle.
I did. I wound up having to do my chain.
So much for my suggestions.
Yeah. I had to do it. I finally got up to a J hook for my chain.
Okay.
And I moved down to an H for everything else. But even with the J, I would do the chain in the J and then switch to the H to try to do my single crochet for my foundation row.
Right.
And still struggled. But I did finally do it. Like
I crocheted Beth that hat for Christmas that she wanted. She sent me a picture of her wearing it.
I bet she likes it. But anyway, you can see that once I got this beginning started, I didn't have any trouble, man. I got these double crochet granny stripes going all day long. But the start took me 2 weeks to do before I got something was loose enough that I could function with it. And then I didn't want to do the border. So the pattern is for a blanket. Obviously, I don't have a blanket. I just had some scrap yarn. This was left over from the Expression Fiber Arts Perseverance blanket. But while I was there this weekend, I showed it to Tracy and Melissa. Melissa is the manager of her shop. And I asked them, like, what can I do for a border? Because the blanket border for this is like a 4-color border, and it looked really complicated. And I wasn't thinking I could do that. So they showed me how to do this little treble crochet fan border.
Oh, yeah.
And that went really well. I did the short side, and I did all the long side. And then we got to the other short side and realized that the number of spaces is different because the granny stripes are offset. So I have one less hole to crochet in on this end than I did on this end.
Oh, okay.
Because there's like nine sets of the double crochet and then 10, and then 9 and then 10.
Ah, okay.
And if I had realized what I was going to do for the border, I could have just done a half, one more row, and then they would have been even. But I didn't know that at the time, what I was going to do for the border, so I didn't do that. So if I ever make this blanket and decide I want to do the same border, I'll make a mental note to do one extra row. But anyway, they were supposed to help me figure out how to turn this corner where it doesn't look funny, and we did not get that figured out. So I'm just gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fudge it. I told Tracy she could have this when I was done because I was going to let her put it in the yarn bomb that they're doing in Hot Springs, Arkansas for Art in the Park in April. But Tracy said it's too pretty to put in the yarn bomb, and she's going to put it in a shadow box in the shop and say, Katie crochets. I said that really was not necessary. And then I was like, you're a full-service yarn shop. If I leave it here, will you guys block it and weave in the ends? She said, we'll block it for you, but we're not weaving in your ends.
Nobody wants to weave in ends.
Nobody wants to do that. So if anybody likes to weave in ends, let us know. I'm curious if that's, I know, like, Riley likes to untangle yarn. I do not like to untangle yarn.
I do not like to seam things together.
I don't mind that. I don't really want to do yours, but I don't mind doing mine.
I met my kindred spirit in the knitting cup one day as they had a bird cage in the corner of their knitting group room, and it had a snowy white owl in it, like Hedwig from Harry Potter, and I commented on it. It was beautiful, and this lady I met, her name is Connie, she said, oh, I knit that. And then she pointed to somebody else, but she put it together because I just knit things. I don't put them together. I thought, oh, you're my kindred sister.
I don't usually.
I have more pieces of projects waiting to be put together.
She does, like entire things. But anyway, this is my first crochet project, bigger than, my little ball cap that fits on my thumb.
Right.
So, I mean, I learned, Deb, when she taught me the ball cap, she taught me to single crochet, double crochet, treble crochet. She explained to me what those things meant. I just had the trouble getting started. That was the biggest thing. When I finish this, I want to do the 2 to Tango bag. So Kathy wrote patterns. So for her, Kathleen Fuller's Sweet Romances from Maple Falls, each of those books has a knit or crochet pattern that goes with it.
Okay.
And the 2 to Tango pattern is like a Japanese knot bag that's crocheted.
Oh.
So that is the next big crochet project I have on my list of things to try.
I guess being on Audible, I didn't realize that. Or is that the instructions they read at the end?
That's the instructions they read on Audible. They read you the knitting pattern at the end of the book or the crochet pattern out loud. It is the funniest thing ever.
Okay.
I don't think I could knit with somebody just reading me the pattern.
No, me neither.
But you can actually go to Kathleen Fuller's website. I think it's just KathleenFuller.com. And the 2 to Tango pattern is free and available for free on her website. So if you are interested in crocheting that bag, it's there. You should look at it.
I should.
Because if you would crochet it first so that when I need help, I could ask Kathleen probably too, but that seems a little abusive.
I'll take a look at it. I can crochet as long as it doesn't get too complicated with things like Tunisian needles and stuff like that. I don't know how to do the Tunisian crochet.
Well, and that was one of the fun things about the granny stripe pattern, because you don't really have to count stitches, because I'm not, like, other than that foundation chain and that first row of single crochets, you're just doing these double crochets into these spaces every time. Yeah. So I'm not having to figure out the anatomy of the crochet stitch. I'm just going into the big hole.
There you go.
I do want to, the next project I do want to have to do something where I need to know what part of the crochet stitch is what, so that I can learn to crochet into the right parts.
And make a more fabric type project.
So I think Kathy also said she has some washcloths she's going to send me to practice crochet on. So I may actually do the washcloths first, and then I'm going to do the 2 to Tango bag as my next crochet project.
Okay.
I've never really talked about future plans too much, but so all of this yarn is Expression Fiber Arts left over from my Perseverance blanket, except for the border, because I was originally planning to just use scrap yarn, and I had this leftover yarn from James's hat and his fingerless mitts that I made. I don't have enough to do anything really with, so I thought I probably had enough to put a border on this. Everybody asked me what this is. I'm like, it's 2 feet of me learning to crochet. That's what this is. It's not long enough to be a scarf. It's not wide enough to be a blanket. Tracy was like wrapping it around her shoulders, and she's like, it can be a little cowl. I'm like, well, on you it can, but my shoulders are a little wider than yours, girl. But I told her she could have it, so if she wants to make it into a cowl, she can. But anyway, that yarn does not match the Expression Fiber Arts yarn at all. And when she started threatening to hang it on the wall, I was like, well, if you're going to hang this on the wall, let's put it in some yarn that's, pretty. So I bought another ball of the Magic Merino worsted in the West Mountain, which is the shop's signature colorway.
Oh, okay.
Because the ball I originally bought last month, my husband took away from me. That's the danger of teaching your husband to knit.
Yeah.
He takes your yarn. Just
I don't have any. I'm not in danger of that.
I didn't think I was either, but after we've been married 20 years, our 20th anniversary was in January, and so I guess I'm starting to rub off on him. I don't know. But anyway, so look at that. There's some crochet chatter on our channel now.
And if we do 2 to tango bags, there just might
be some more. Because I really do. I rarely see things that are crocheted that I am just like, oh, I really want to do that. But it does happen. And there are oftentimes I trip across knitting patterns that have a little bit of crochet in it.
Well, I have used crochet to border something because I like a crochet border.
It looks nicer.
So I've done a crochet border on like baby blankets mainly. Back when those headbands were real popular, I knit several headbands and I crocheted the flowers.
The crochet flowers look better than knit flowers.
Because I like crochet flowers better than knit flowers. Yeah. So, and I've made a couple of well, I made my Katie's sister, my middle daughter, a hat for Christmas this year. She sent me a pattern. It's like, Mom, can you make me this hat? Well, is this a pattern? No, it's just a hat she saw in a store. Oh. So I started looking for a pattern similar because I didn't have the physical hat to look at. And I found a pattern that was very similar. So I got the pattern. I think I bought it on Ravelry. And I started reading it, which is why you should read things before you buy them maybe, but I didn't.
You can't read them before you buy them.
So I bought it and I thought, oh, this is a crocheted hat pattern. But I was
it should have told you that before you bought it.
Well, it probably did, and I was using Asher's method.
Asher's method. My oldest son, his method of doing a thing is to just go for it.
Just jump in,
jump right in.
And but I thought, all right, I've already bought the pattern. I'm going to buy the yarn. I am going to crochet this because I do have a pretty good basic knowledge of crochet. And I crocheted the hat. And it turned out really stinking cute.
Good.
I just bought a pom pom for it,
Well, that's what I want to have it in my tool belt. Like, I don't want to be limited about what I can do because I don't know how to do something as relatively simple as crochet. I mean, if I can knit, surely I can crochet.
I thought crochet was a lot easier to learn than knitting. But.
And I've been able to do a provisional cast on with a crochet hook.
Yep.
For years. That's never been an issue. So then I got one more current whip. I'm sorry, this is going to be a long video.
So maybe for our giveaway for this episode, we should have people comment on whether they can knit and crochet or something like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I have one other project. So the whole reason we were in Hot Springs this weekend was partly was my husband and I were kind of spending some time together. Our anniversary was in January, but we weren't able to go anywhere in January. So we were kind of having an anniversary celebration. But I was also teaching a couple of classes at Hot Springs Fiber Company. I taught the Curlig Mitts class, adapted for worsted weight yarn, and I taught the Happy and You Know Mitt class. And I had left my hat there for a shop sample, but I need my hat. So I brought my hat back, and I am knitting a shop sample for the shop. So this is on the Hot Springs Fiber Company Magic Merino Sport. And Tracy picked out the colors for the shop. It's her hat, She could wear it. But yeah, so I started that this weekend. It usually takes me about 8 days to finish one if I'm paying a lot of attention to that project. So it'll be done. This is the Serenity. This is from the Blanket of Knowledge. This is the Serenity colorway from Blanket of Knowledge. And I don't know which month it was. But it was Rose Petals was the name of the
That's real pretty.
Of the colorway. But I think, among other things, I think Natalie is now doing the Blanket of Knowledge over in Love and Stitches, and I think she picked out the Serenity colorway, if I recall correctly. So yeah, I'm actually not going to knit this on DPNs. I just, I brought literally threw all of my needles in a bag to bring to Hot Springs this weekend so that no matter what I needed, I would have the needles I needed.
Oh.
I got there, I pulled out my thing of Chai Gu needles thinking, okay, size 5 for the hat. I didn't have any size 5 in that bag. because they were all home on my blanket of knowledge.
Okay.
So, no matter, even when I try to be prepared.
So that's why it's on double knit.
That's why it's on double.
Okay.
It'll get switched to a 16-inch circular as soon as I have the time to work on it. Like I said, we have only been home for 12 hours, babe. Barely.
A little over, yeah.
We got home at 1 o'clock this morning, and then we went to church, and then we went to lunch, and then we started doing this. So, I've been busy. I'll get them off there later, though. That is everything I am currently working on, except for, of course, Blanket of Knowledge. So, I have some progress to show this month because, you know, in January, I showed you December, which I also showed you in December because I hadn't done anything. But I've actually finished most of February. So, this is my enchanted blanket. I love this.
Here, do you need some help?
Yes, please. So, you can see here, this is January's pattern. It was called Day's End was the name of the yarn. This was December. This was Perfect Afternoon. This is kind of a short strip for me because these cables eat up yarn, and I didn't have enough to do a third repeat. And I bought extra for this month because I wanted to do more. I bought extra for this month so I could finish the pattern, but I just didn't want to buy more, so it's just going to be a short stripe.
That's
I
okay.
figured the bottom one is pretty short too, actually.
And it looks like you've got a full chain on there. So,
Oh, I do.
You know,
I finished the pattern in a reasonable spot, so. But yeah, this one's a kind of a short stripe too, so it'll be okay. I still need to do the black border. I haven't done that yet, but it's mostly done for February. And I just got the March color. I brought it home from Hot Springs with me, so I can show you the March color. And I can show you the March pattern because I had to use a different color to do the video for the but this is my current favorite.
Oh my goodness.
It is, I don't know if you can see it in this box. It is so pretty. I love it. This is called Sailor's Delight. You know, like that red in the morning, sailor take warning, red at night, Sailor's Delight. It is so beautiful. I was hard pressed not to buy extra of this just for the pleasure of owning it. I'm still not convinced. If I get going with this and decide I want more in my blanket or just want another one, I may buy another one. Tracy I wish I had taken a picture of it before I left this weekend, but I didn't think of it. She's hung all of the different colorways on a wall and she adds Hank every month so you can kind of see how they're looking all together. But yeah, so this will be the next color, and this is the pattern for February, not the February yarn. This is actually January yarn, and this is why it's important to weigh your yarn, because I was using the leftover, right, from here. This was what was left, and I thought, oh, I have plenty to finish the block for the video. I did have plenty to finish the pattern repeat, not the border.
Okay.
So this is just some more Blanket of Knowledge yarn I had left over. But I like this pattern. It was a lot of fun to knit, which is another reason I made it.
Is it like pineapples?
No, it's like little cables with seed stitch.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this will be the February pattern. It will be in this yarn. It will be on this blanket. I will be getting that done pretty quickly. This will actually be my priority. That way I'm ready for March when the March one comes out.
That's beautiful.
It's going to be the Blanket of Knowledge. You don't, the first year it ended after 12 months and it started over. It's not really ending anymore. She just goes and you kind of work until your blanket's the length you want, and then you just cancel when you're done.
So if I ever wanted to pick it up, I could just
pick it up anytime, anywhere. Go as long as you want.
I just don't want to do squares anymore.
You don't have to do squares.
But you don't have to, yeah.
Nope. So. And I'm loving the strips. Loving.
What is the border stitch? Is it just...
Oh, they're different every month.
Oh, okay.
So this one, let's see, August is when we started. That was seed stitch. I don't know if they all have names. This one was like a little ridge. You see, like there's like a little valley.
I see.
This is linen stitch.
Yep.
This one, I don't know if it had a name.
Okay.
This one was like a twisted. This one was really fun. This has been my favorite border stitch. I don't know if it doesn't show up really well on the black yarn, but they're like little twisted
Yeah.
things. And then this month was baubles, but one of the downsides, I like the DK weight yarn, but I have a 300 stitch blanket and it just eats up yardage between any pattern design and then all those 300 stitches. I just don't have as much yardage to work with as I probably could use. So the February border stitch is baubles, but I'm positive there's no way I'm going to have enough yarn in 20 grams to do 6 rows with baubles. So I will probably do a different bonus stitch this month.
Yeah, I'm thinking, will anybody have enough in a 20 gram?
If they don't have as many stitches, they might, yeah.
Yeah.
But and if they're using the sport weight yarn, they definitely will.
Okay.
But that is...
And a sport weight, after you do a blanket, it's not a bad weight for a blanket.
No, it's probably fine. I do so much on small that I like the DK. It's just a little bigger needles and a little bigger. Plus, with me filming videos with my yarn, I don't want to make it smaller. That seems like that. I mean, I don't know. I've done a couple of videos with fingering weight yarn with the socks. So I guess you guys could tell me if the fingering weight yarn is easier or harder to see than the thicker yarn, or if it doesn't matter. Oh, we didn't look and see what else came in our box this month. Oh, that's right. I got my stitch marker. You get one almost every month. That one's really pretty. And I got stickers. This one says Yarn Wizard Things. And this one's a sheep with a hat. And of course my pattern. That was my goodies. So that's my enchanted. And then I have, of course, the Cabin in the Woods to show you. Oh, what I was going to say, the whole reason I started talking about canceling was I think mine is going to be plenty long after 12 months.
Yeah.
Because it's already almost half my height.
Oh, yeah.
So I think for me, 12 months is going to be a good size blanket, and I'll be ready to switch to a new colorway. I'll still do Blanket of Knowledge, I'm sure. It'll just be a new one. New to me. I don't know that she'll like new colors. I don't know. All right, so I can show my completed December from Cabin in the Woods. And this was called, what was this called? Dragonfly Cove. And there is the same, you can see here I did better at yarn management. I didn't have to use a random other color to finish. And I managed to get 3 blocks. Now this month I barely got 3 blocks. I actually did use a little bit of December just to bind off. You really can't. Like, they're different. If you hold them up together, they don't look the same at all, but they're close enough that just on the bind off edge, it's going to be hidden in a seam. It's not going to matter. I haven't blocked this one. You can see the difference between blocked and not blocked.
Yeah, you always can though.
It makes big. And I did all 3, so I did get 3 of those, but I didn't have any of this colorway left over at all. So far, I've been able to get 3 in my Cabin in the Woods and still have anywhere from 10 to 20 grams left over. But those cables, they eat up yarn.
They do.
And now we get to see my Cabin in the Woods box. Ooh, it's pretty too.
That is pretty.
So this colorway is called Blooming Pincushion Moss.
So now you're doing the Enchanted Forest one. Is that what it's called, Enchanted Forest? You're doing that one in squares, right?
No, the Enchanted one is the one that's in strips.
Okay.
That's the one we just talked about.
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods is in blocks.
In blocks. Okay. So what do you do with the smaller hank or the 20?
So she changed it from when you used to do it. Instead of getting a graduation box at the end of the year, since they don't end necessarily in a year, you get 20 grams every month and you just save it and set it aside. And when you go to seam it up, that's what you'll use. So when I go to seam up my blocks, I'll have 12 of these, and that's what I'll use. But here is my yarn. It's also lovely. This was fun because the picture she used to inspire the dye job was one that she and I took when we were hiking together in Gulf Gorge.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember when that trip, all of my hot springs trips are starting to run together in my head. I'm not sure when I did what, but we did hike, and we have a whole video about Gulf Gorge. I'll attach if you want to see our hike. But Tracy is an excellent photographer, and she took a whole bunch of pictures while we were hiking. And one of them is what she used to dye this yarn.
Okay.
And I got my cute little stickers. I like having stickers in the boxes this month. That is fun. A fun thing that's kind of different. We haven't done that before. So I will be making blocks so this is the same. This is the February one, so it'll be these cables and seed stitch blocks, only in this pretty green color. I'll be working on that pretty diligently in the next week or so, trying to get my blanket. I like to have my blanket caught up so that when I do the video, I have it up to date. And this is as up to date as you can be, because everybody just got their February box. I'm spoiled. I'm used to having mine early. And I didn't have mine early this month, so I'm not going to die from it, clearly. Hello. I just wanted to mention one more thing about the Blanket of Knowledge. If you would like to join up, I have an affiliate link in the description box down below. If you click on the link, it should take you to the sign up for Blanket of Knowledge. It won't cost you any extra, but it does benefit me a little bit if you use my link. So hopefully if you would like to join us on that journey, you can get started. We would love to have you with us. But yeah, that's my Blanket of Knowledge. My goodness, what else do we need to talk about?
Acquisitions.
Acquisitions.
Oh my goodness.
So I have, like I said, I brought home a whole bunch of yarn 2 weeks ago when I was in Hot Springs. I only brought home the one ball of West Mountain this week. I was so good. So most of that yarn went to the library. Some of it stayed with me, but I don't want to talk about all that. But we will talk about your acquisitions because we haven't seen your new stuff in a while.
Right, because I'm not always able to be here. So I just have a lot of, some of it is just stuff I bought off, on sale at retail stores like Michael's or Joann's. And then some of it I've actually gone to some yarn shops myself. So my socks that I'm knitting is patterns.
You got more patterns,
I
right?
do, because I was in Joann's looking for something else, of course. But you have to go, even though it's a retail store, you still want to check out the yarn. And they were having their patents, sock yarn, buy one, get one free. So, these are like $6.99 a skein or something like that.
And they're 50-gram balls, so you need two anyway, right?
Right, because, yeah. And so I got this colorway here, which is called Cascade Colors. I guess it looks like maybe a waterfall cascade or something.
Oh, I was wondering where they were getting that.
And then this is celestial. So maybe it's like, a celestial sky or something. But it's just inexpensive sock yarn, and sometimes I have friends who want me to make them socks that I know will not appreciate a pair of socks that comes from a $33 hank of yarn. And though these, I can knit them a pair of socks, and I hand knit my socks. I do not have a sock machine.
And I do not recommend this on my sock machine. Lottie does not like Croy. It is a little thicker.
Yeah, it makes a little bit thicker
Which
sock,
makes a really durable sock when you hand knit it. But my sock machine does not like Croy. I've knit 1 or 2 tubes with Croy yarn, and I refuse to do it again.
So that is one thing I bought. And then
on the machine, I'll hand knit with Croy.
I live in Georgetown, Texas, and just a little bit north of us on I-35 is a small town called Salado. And Salado has a lot of shops and specialty shops and boutiques and things like that. So my husband and I went up there one day just to go, and they had a little booth in one of their shop buildings. I don't know what it was called. It just said it was a little yarn store. It was literally like an armoire that had yarn in it.
That's the smallest yarn store I ever heard of.
And they had some nice, pretty stuff. Nothing that was a local dyer or anything like that. And then they had just a big basket of half price off yarn, all different kinds, different weights, different kinds. And I dug through it, and I found a couple of skeins of sock yarn again.
She found like the golden grail, holy grail.
So this is opal sock yarn. It's from Germany because the whole entire label is in German. But I am a Harry Potter fan. I do enjoy the Harry Potter books and movies and series, and so obviously I recognized Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and the movie that is advertised on here is The Half-Blood Prince. I'm sure that's what that says in German, and the color's called Ron.
So I was like, you didn't bring me Harry Potter yarn? She said that was the only one they had.
That was the only one they had, and I wanted it. And then I also got this other one of Harry Potter, or I mean not Harry Potter, but sock yarn called the Trekking Double XL. It is, I don't even know what the color is called.
I think it just had a number.
Yeah, it did.
81.
Just a number. But I liked the color combination of it, and I think.
And I've knit with this yarn before. It makes nice socks.
So more.
Opal too makes good durable socks.
So more sock yarn that will be socks eventually.
We like sock yarn.
A few years ago, not that long ago, maybe about 3 years ago, I started a project from Expression Fiber Arts with their resilient sock yarn in a colorway called Nimbus. It was gray. We've talked about this on a previous episode.
Several previous
I was
episodes.
knitting a cardigan called oh my goodness, Journey?
Journey, yeah.
Journey?
So traveling, something to do with
Journey.
traveling around.
And I almost had it finished when a little thing of hand wax
Like
was
a lotion
was
bar.
in my knitting bag in the hot sun, and it melted through everything, and it got on my cardigan and just spots, not the whole thing, but just spots. I tried all kinds of stuff to get it out. I couldn't get it out. I ended up frogging it, throwing away the yarn that was ruined by the wax, and I just used it for other projects. But I still want that cardigan. So they did not have the Nimbus colorway in the resilient sock yarn any longer, so I couldn't like just buy extra yarn to go with what I already had. So I had to buy a whole new set of Expression Fiber Arts resilient sock yarn, and this is called Make-A-Wish, and I really bought it because I liked the name of it. I really wasn't too particular. It is it's a variant color yarn. It's not a solid color. Nimbus was kind of a solid gray, but this is going to be a variant.
This is kind of, but it's a subtle. It's like blues and a little bit of light yellows and some speckles.
I feel like it's going to be a nice neutral cardigan when it's knit up. I see myself wearing this with maybe a pair of jeans and maybe a white t-shirt or a navy blue t-shirt or something underneath it.
I need to knit a neutral cardigan because I have a pink one and a rust colored one and one that's like a brownish pinkish rust. And they're none of them neutral.
So Expression Fiber Arts will almost always send you something with their yarn as well, usually a bookmark, and I always give Katie my bookmarks.
Yes.
So there
I have
you go.
lots of these. Thank you. This one is fun. It says, "Be happy for this moment. This moment is your life."
So Katie gave me for Christmas some yarn. Back in September when we went to the DFW Fiber Festival, there was a booth by I guess the Bashful Armadillo, and it had yarns that were dyed to geographical areas in the state of Texas. And I really didn't have tons of money this year, and I had to really be picky, but I really saw this yarn. I really liked it. This is Texas Hill Country. I live in Georgetown. It is considered Hill Country, but I talked myself out of it, but at some time, unbeknownst to me, she went back and bought it for me.
Bashful Armadillo was at the East Texas Fiber Festival.
Okay.
So I got it in Canton because you didn't come to that one.
No, I didn't go to that one.
And when I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm going to get her this for her birthday.
And so she got me this, a pattern, and I'm going to cake that up and work on that cowl here soon, actually. I thought I had this in a baggie, but we'll set it aside for now.
I don't remember.
All right. This is just some sock yarn I bought at the Knitting Cup there in Georgetown. It's actually Bad Sheep yarn. I really like it. I had almost a whole pair of socks knit out of this, and I had a little mishap with one of my dogs, and I frogged the whole thing. But this is interesting, and Katie can help explain this. This was one hank, but when I balled it in 2 cakes, so I could do 2 at a time socks, obviously one is much darker than the other. And when I was knitting the socks up, it looked like it was
Two different
colorways. So I'm not too sad about having to frog this, and I'll do something else with it. But Katie will explain why that happens.
So if I understand correctly, when you dye yarn, when you hand dye yarn, you have, it's in a loop called like a big loop, and you lay it down in the dye bath and you dye one half, and then you have to flip it and dye the other half, and you have to be really careful to get it even and get down inside where the yarn is overlapping. And if you don't flip it over, or if you're not real careful when you flip it over to get everything down in the middle even, then you'll wind up with 2 halves of a ball of yarn that look really different. That's my understanding.
So anyway, it knit up a really nice feeling sock, but I'm going to either go back and see if they still have some of it, because they had tons of it, and maybe I can get 2 pair of socks, one a light color and one a darker.
I've had 2 hand-dyed yarns that I bought that did that. One, I don't remember who dyed the yarn. I can't remember the dyer, but the yarn colorway was called Hocus Pocus, and it was the first time I've ever seen that. And I thought maybe that was like on purpose, because it was Hocus Pocus. It changed color. So I had made Halloween socks out of it with little pumpkins anyway, so I actually liked it. I thought it was kind of funny. And then I have another pair that I bought from Arkansas Yarn Co., where they're very similar, but one is just a little darker than the other sock, and it's the whole sock. And I was pulling from opposite ends of the ball because I was doing them 2 at a time.
So that's okay though. This is just, I got this at the Knitting Cup in Georgetown. My friend likes socks, and I knit her a pair that she had worn out. She likes this little pink and pinkish looking color. This is Regia. It is Tutti Frutti, and it's a cotton-based sock yarn. It's cotton, polyamide, and polyester. I've never used it before, but I'm interested to see what kind of a sock that'll knit up as. And then my trip to Nashville, because our flight didn't leave till late Monday afternoon, and we had a half a day to kill. I looked it up, and there was a house of yarn in Nashville, Tennessee that I wanted to go to. So my husband indulged me, and we went to the house of yarn, and it was a wonderful local yarn shop.
I have some pictures I will put in a little slideshow to show off
the owner. I can't remember her name, but she was very kind. I told her who I was. I told her that if it was okay if I took some pictures, and if it was okay if we showed them on this YouTube channel. And of course she was like, oh yeah, sure. Just remember to put in my hashtag, which is hashtag House of Yarn, spelled H-A-U-S of yarn. So hashtag House of Yarn.
I'll put that
Nashville, Tennessee. And of course I didn't get away without buying some locally hand-dyed yarn. And I saw a shawl I wanted. They had this on display. You can put that display picture up if you want to with it. A shawl. It was called Magical Thinking. It was available on Ravelry. I bought it right then and there. And the shop demo is made with these 3 colors. And this yarn is called Old Rusted Chair Hand-Dyed Yarns. It is locally hand-dyed in Nashville, Tennessee. And this color here is called Riding the Storm Out. This is sock yarn, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. Riding Out the Storm. The other main color was this color here called Spiced. So it's not a true red. It's kind of a rusty red color. And then the trim, or the corrugated, I don't know. Variegated.
Corrugated is metal.
You're right. This is the third color in that pattern.
It's over here.
Which is
Road Tripping.
So, and then I was looking at it, and I thought, I gotta buy Katie yarn. I can't just not come to a yarn shop. So I found
Did you get a cute bag?
I bought that Nashville, Tennessee bag.
Oh, okay.
I had already bought.
Fabulous bag.
That says, a day without knitting is like a day without sunshine, I believe is what that says. And it has orange on it.
And it's orange.
And so I bought her.
And the yarn is orange.
3 skeins so she can knit the same shawl if she wishes.
I love this. It is called Feisty,
which is a very appropriate name.
And then, is this the same color?
Yes,
Riding the Storm Out?
These 2 are the same, yes.
Riding the Storm Out.
And then your variated color.
Hipster Scum. That's funny right there. I wanted to, well, I guess I know how they name yarn. They talk about it and think it up, and they name it whatever they want when you dye it yourself, because that's what Tracy and I do. But sometimes I wonder how, I want to hear the story about how the name Hipster Scum came up with that. But yes, so I'm also going to knit the Magical Thinking. I was reading it. It's a Shancho, she called it.
Oh,
did you read all the?
I read, yeah.
So the designer, I cannot remember which designer it was. Casapinka? Is it Casapinka?
I don't know. You talk and I'll look it up.
Okay, the designer has written a whole story about how she was designing this for her daughter, but her daughter said that it couldn't be a poncho because ponchos weren't like cool or in fashion. And so she said, fine, it's not a poncho, it's a shawl. And she calls it a shancho because it's a shawl, but it goes all the way around. It doesn't, it's not flat. I thought that was funny. It's a shancho.
Casapinka?
Yeah, it is Casapinka.
Yeah, it's Casapinka.
And that's what she calls it, right? A shancho. Can you pull it up?
Yeah, I can.
It was just funny. It made me laugh. We're going to make a shancho. Sorry, y'all. My dog is upset because I was gone for the last several days. And so she's a little whiny. Come here, Roxy. You're okay. Yeah. It's all right. I'm right here. She was so excited. Did they wake you up when we came in at 1 o'clock this morning? They were all barking their heads off.
I didn't hear them at 1 o'clock.
Oh, good. Yeah, they were like freaking out. Yes, I'm right here. I know.
Magical Thinking by Casa Pinka.
You can't get in my lap right now, baby girl. There's not enough room. Well, I know I read about it somewhere. Maybe it was. Hopefully, I didn't imagine it. I'm pretty sure.
No, that sounds like it was something that would be with this story. And it might have been on her Ravelry page.
Yeah, that might have been where
this is just the pattern, so it might have been on the Ravelry page. But you'll see in the picture from the demo that was hanging in the yarn shop. It was a gorgeous, and those are very practical where we live, because some days it's just not cold enough to wear a coat, and you want to be stylish and have something that's fun to wear but provides just a little bit of warmth. Those things are perfect. They work good.
I have one more acquisition I wanted to talk about. These are the little lapel pins I got at Hot Springs Fiber Company this weekend. I think they are adorable. My husband picked out the sheep made of yarn balls. I picked out the alpaca, and Tracy picked out the Knit Happens pin. I think they're great.
So that is what we have gotten, and we have some things to share with you. So the first thing we need to do is announce the lucky recipient of the February shareables. So we are sharing 2 balls of this DMC cotton yarn called Denim. 2 of those. I've got 2 Amish romance novels from, these are 3 stories in one, and I think this is also 3 stories in one. An Amish schoolroom and an Amish quilting bee. They have stories by Amy Clipston, Kathleen Fuller, and Shelley Shepherd Gray. I think that they're all 3 the same. Yep, they're the same authors in all 3. I have read both of these books, not these books. I didn't open your book and read them, but I have read audio versions probably, or on from the library. I've read them. They are really good. One of them, I think it's, I'm not really sure. I've read so many of these books lately, I can't keep them straight either. Keeping things straight in my head is not my forte, y'all. They were good. I remember liking them, and I did read them. And then we have a little sticker. One of the little needle keepers that are the little springy, I don't know what they're called. You put them on the ends of shoestrings or sweaters. You can stick your needles in them and hold your needles. And a set of stitch markers that are sewing related to go with the Amish books. And then this little, I don't know if this is a llama or an alpaca. What do you think? Is that a llama?
Well, if it's yarn related, it's probably an alpaca. Because to my knowledge, you don't shear llama
for yarn. So an alpaca shawl pin right here. This is what we are announcing the lucky recipient for. And that lucky recipient is Jennifer Cooley 133. So congratulations, Jennifer Cooley. We are going to read your comment. You were supposed to tell us what little quirks you have, right? So this is what she writes. Of course, I watch Silly Rabbit, and she put a little rabbit emoji. My quirk is making friends with quirky peeps. And yes, bring me your clever girl, and I'll make you a magnet. So she's actually a friend of mine. She lives down the street, and I will be getting this to her probably today or tomorrow. It's nice, but I don't have to mail it.
Yeah.
And then I do have something to give away for March. So I am going to be rehoming this beautiful Mirasol Nuna yarn donated by Hot Springs Fiber Company for you lucky viewers. This stuff is gorgeous. I have 400 grams of it, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 400 grams of it. The color is called Field of Dreams. It is 40% wool, 40% silk, and 20% viscose, which I think is from bamboo.
Yeah, probably.
It says luxurious, extra fine merino wool and mulberry silk blended with bamboo sourced viscose. Yeah, bamboo. So it is soft. Feel it. Did you feel this?
I did. I felt when you took it out of the closet.
And there's about 1,500 yards here, so you should be able to do quite a bit. And it's green because it's March. And to go with the green, I also have a dragon shawl pin. Actually, I bought this one for you, but I did get it from Hot Springs Fiber Company. You can get these there. I think I could stick it in the, I thought it went with the green yarn, the little dragon.
It does. It looks great.
I love these little shawl pins. They're so cute. Let's see if I can make it pretty for you. Look at that. I did it. So there's the little dragon. And just for fun, I have one of these little poppers This one doesn't have numbers on it, but you could write numbers on it if you want. But you can use it as a row counter or a stitch counter just by popping the bubble every time you change rows or whatever. I have several of them. I liked them. I used them. They're fun. But then I left once sitting on my desk, left it out, and I came back and my kids had popped it all.
Oh no.
So if you have kids, use this with discretion because it didn't help when they came and popped all the buttons. They were sad. They were sorry. They didn't realize, it had a purpose other than to be fun.
Right.
But that is what I am going to be giving away. And we were going to talk about our trips, but I think we talked about our trips all through the whole podcast.
I think we did too.
So if you didn't want to hear about them, I'm sorry. We've been busy. I need to stay home for like a month or two and get caught up. I've been running between being out of town so much and then Maris being not as well as we'd like and just regular life stuff. I feel like I've been running 90 miles an hour.
Well, it was a very special opportunity for me to come here this weekend.
I'm glad.
It just worked out with my schedule. I was off work. I didn't have to ask off for it. And the boys and I have had a good time.
Yeah, I kept getting the cutest emails from my 10-year-old. So we left Thursday. My husband and I left Thursday. Thursday night, I had an email that said that he missed me and Nana was very nice and had already provided them with many treats. So I didn't know what she was feeding them.
I don't know. We made hamburgers Friday night.
But whatever
Or
it was,
Thursday
my
night,
10-year-old was happy.
so.
And then I can't remember.
Oh, we went to Sonic.
Did you go to Sonic?
Yeah, and when we go to Sonic, everybody gets their own set of mozzarella sticks. So.
Okay.
I don't know.
It was funny. And then he emailed me Friday telling me about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then he didn't email me Saturday. So I was like, he must be satiated. I think she wore them out.
Well, it was fun. And we did stay up awfully late Friday night. So
they just had a relaxed day.
Yeah.
Well, I know James is still working on his Tahoe hooded cow. He has not finished it. And I should have gotten it to show you, but I didn't. And he's napping because he drove. I sang 90s country at the top of my lungs, and he drove for 4 hours last night. And so he did work on his Tahoe hooded cow, though. It is coming along. He just doesn't have a lot of time to work on it. I can knit.
He does have to make a living.
Right. He does have to support my yarn habit. And I can knit when I homeschool my boys. So I can sit and knit usually most days. I have about an hour while they're in school that I can knit while they're reading to me or we're watching a video together or talking about a lesson.
Yeah, whatever.
So that's usually about an hour every day. And then I usually have another hour in the evenings if I don't have too much grading to do that I can knit.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas he only has that 1 hour in the evening, and sometimes he knits and sometimes he does other things. It just depends on the day. So he did bring his knitting to Hot Springs and spend Saturday sitting in a chair outside the shop knitting. They told him he looked like a homeless person. At first he was sitting on the steps and they were like, people are going to be afraid to come in the shop because there's this big bearded man with a beanie on his head sitting hunched over the shop. So they made him sit in a chair. He didn't want to come in the shop because he said it was too hot. I didn't think the shop was hot, but
it's nice to knit outside.
And the shop has a lovely view of West Mountain. Like when you're sitting on the shop porch, you're just looking right over at the mountain. So I'm sure it was nice. But yeah, so that's it. I don't think I have anything else to talk about.
I'm gonna pack up my stuff.
If you want to win this,
oh yeah,
you need. What did we say to tell us?
Do you knit or crochet or
both? Yeah, tell us. Or do you do something else? Maybe you do. I don't know. Weaving or spinning or needlepoint or whatever it is.
Latch hook?
Latch hook, yeah.
Cross stitch?
I don't know anyone that does latch hook. Do you?
Not anymore, I don't. No.
I mean, I did a latch hook project when I was a kid. I bought one of those kits, but I don't think I ever finished it.
I don't know, but there are cross stitches still out there.
Oh, what's that thing where they take strips of boiled wool? Rug hooking. Maybe you rug hook.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen people do that. But yeah, let us know what you do. And that will enter you in to win, hopefully, this set next month when we give it away.
Lovely set, too.
All right, I'm going to close this with prayer. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you have a blessed day and go make today beautiful. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings that you have so lovingly bestowed on us. I want to thank you today for each and every one of my viewers. I appreciate, Lord, that they've taken the time out of their day to join us and to share their love of fiber arts with us, and that they have allowed me into their home to share my love of fiber arts with them as well. Thank you so much for my mother, and keep her safe as she returns home today. And in your Son's most precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.